Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm filming this on the 14th of May, 2025, right after my previous video about many reasons we know Beatrice Sparks wasn't a real psychologist as demonstrated throughout her book. So that's why I'm wearing the same outfit as I did on that day, bulk filming for the win. And I'm doing this because it's, Mental Health Awareness Month, also called Mental Health May. And I figured I have so many other videos about this huge fraud. Why not do a mini dedicated series, like the many reasons I have that have popped out to me when reading her terrible, awful, beyond bad books over the years, like showing she really was not a psychologist as she claimed to be, and she knew Jack in particular about adolescent psychology and adolescent cognitive development. And I will be, heavily drawing from some of the previous videos I've done, particularly Almost Lost, because case in point, she writes herself in as one of the main characters, the child adolescent teenage psychologist helping Sammy, and she's just red flag after red flag, how did anyone greenlight this crap? This is not how a real psychologist talks or acts. But anyway, getting on with the video based off of a blog post, which is scheduled to go live on the 16th of May, 2025. While hindsight is always 2020, and it was easier for Beatrice Sparks to get away with her fraud pre-internet and in a relatively more innocent and trusting time. I have a video about that as well. I'm shocked none of her editors ever saw fit to question her about her alleged credentials after reading her manuscripts. So many people failed in their duty, to say the least. Number 21, the number is continuing from the previous video and blog post. Someone as deeply depressed, traumatized, and angry as Sammy doesn't magically admit he has a problem and heal his issues in a few months. But, she had to rush through all of her books, bang, 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 no time. She couldn't be arsed to actually develop characters and storylines. Number 22, this is absolutely shocking to read. It's illegal for therapists to massage and hug clients and to touch their body parts. That's just so freaking creepy. You shouldn't even do that. In particular, you shouldn't do that for a child or a teenager. There are other ways you can show empathy and sympathy with them, but you don't oh, I know you're hurting, Sammy. I'm just going to give you a big hug. Oh, I'm going to give you a shiatsu massage. Oh, take slow breaths, because she liked the current trend the under 30 set love so much, drawling out letters and words unnecessarily, OMG, I love it. It sounds it looks so stupid. And anyway, and she's touching she touches Sammy many times throughout the book too, and she touches the body parts of his mother, Paula, when she comes in for an independent session early on. She's doing this absolutely ridiculous relaxation hypnosis exercise. Yawn and jiggle all the parts of your body, like when your kids were little and they played Mr. Jello or Rubber Man. And she touches all of Paula's body parts as she's leading her through the hypnosis. I really think she was trying to recreate the creepy sorry not sorry temple anointing priesthood ceremony. I'm surprised she didn't bust out with health in the navel, marrow in the bones, strength in the loins and in the sinews, power in the priesthood be upon me and upon my posterity through all generations of time and throughout all eternity. She could not keep her Mormon fingerprints off of these books. Number 23. Unless a practice is specifically religious, it's also illegal for a therapist to drop religion into sessions unprompted. That was absolutely shocking. It's one thing, of course, as I just said, you're advertising yourself as a Christian therapist or whatever other religion it might service. That's totally cool. You're being honest up front. That's the kind of people who are probably going to come to your sessions, to your practice. And again, if the client brings up religious issues, him or herself, for example, I'm feeling really guilty and shamed and humiliated, dirty, whatever, about sex, even after I've been married, because I was raised Mormon, and I was told to feel guilt and shame about anything sexual all those years, and I just can't transition to feeling oh, it's okay to have sex even when I'm married now. Can you help me unpack these thoughts? Yeah, that those are their own issues. That's totally cool when you're that kind of religion in the therapy, but she's just bringing it up unprompted. Oh, let's talk about the Bible. Oh, here's a picture of Jesus, Sammy, to teach you all about the golden rule and all these other totally illegal violations of the establishment clause. Just oh, let's just drop in religion. I'm totally lost for words. Number 24. Positive thoughts don't cure depression. Wow, if only it were that simple. Number 25. Therapists aren't supposed to be taping sessions unless specifically requested or as part of their training during an internship. Taping phone calls, wow, with clients is even creepier. And again, as I mentioned many times in the videos about Almost Lost, she only mentions like once, like, oh, do I have your permission to tape this phone call? Like, and oh, I'm going, like, she should have said from the jump, oh, do you mind if I tape our sessions? Here is a consent form to sign, or if you don't want to have the sessions taped, that's cool too. She just like lets it drop like months into the therapy. Oh, by the way, I've been taping you all this time. Are you cool with it? Like after the fact? Oh, I'm tapping your phone too. La la la. Number 26. Hiding past issues from your kids is a surefire way to cause problems down the line. Who would have thunk that? They're more likely to feel tricked and betrayed when they inevitably find out from someone else in a way parents can't control. Like, for example, in Almost Lost, they're talking about, oh, Lance, do you want to tell the girls, Dana and Dory, you were a huge cokehead, like, ever? Like, oh, no. Why would I do something like that? Oh, that's terrible. And Sammy agrees. And like, oh, and then Dr. Fraud later says, oh, okay, I'll see you next time without all the garbage. And Sammy's like, what garbage? Oh, we're being good Peter Priesthoods, Doctor A-hole. We're already repressing everything bad that happened and pretending nothing negative ever happened. Why would I ever expose my precious princesses to such terrible muck and mire and tell them I used to do drugs? How could I do that? I'm already pretending it never happened. I'm being a good little Peter Priesthood, Mormonism, and toxic positivity for the win. It's like the classic example. Like if a child is adopted, like nowadays they tell parents be like, honest and upfront about it, as like, soon as possible, so the child doesn't feel like, why would you hide this from me? Even if I, love you guys as my like real like parents and genuinely might not want to seek out like have a relationship with my like birth parents, or at most like maybe like just write them a letter or something or see their pictures. Like, why wouldn't you like tell me about this? Like, have you been hiding other things from me? Like, I feel so like tricked. Why did you feel the need to do this? Like, and again, like, oh, Dad, you used to do drugs. Why weren't you telling me? Other kids at school are laughing about this. And like, I heard like Jimmy and Janie saying you were like an abusive like father and you did drugs and went to jail and like you were doing coke up on the coffee table. Why was I kept in the dark? This is just like a horrible, horrible recipe for like future disaster. Number 27. Negative thoughts are not self-abuse. Number 28. Dr. Fraud looks down on, discourages, and outright lies about antidepressant drugs. She even says, oh, barely anyone really needs them. And even those people could probably just easily think their way out of a mental health crisis if only they had, cue the all caps, the positive power of positive thinking and constantly had a positive, oh, I'm down with the kids. I use like cool and hip 90s slang that no one really used in the 90s. Number 29. Therapists shouldn't talk to patients like they're cute little pets with epithets like sweet, neat Sammy, super Sammy, smart Sammy, and dear, sweet Sammy. I wouldn't even talk like that to like a toddler. That's just infantilizing and stupid. Number 30. Science absolutely does not support her claim that people suffering from depression make themselves worse with self-pity and negative thinking. Wow, like someone at Avon Books should have questioned her credentials. Well, so many things throughout Almost Lost she should have been questioned for, but like who was actually reading these manuscripts? Were they actually paying attention to the words, or were they just doing like a brief checked out like surface like proofreading for like minor typos and formatting errors? Like wow, like so many people failed. Number 31. Processing and healing from trauma takes a long time and is often nonlinear. Forcing someone to talk about traumatic events before they're ready is so unprofessional. And she bears this out in all the diary books too. I mentioned that in the previous video. Like, oh, I was barely over an hour ago. I was violently essayed, and now I'm sitting down to write about it, not just once, but multiple times throughout the late night, coming back to add more and more details so I can dump that whole gagging load of gagging garbage immediately and purge it out of my system. I don't want to go back and wallow in it. It's just like that's not how normal people react to and process their trauma. But anyway, moving on. Number 32. Dr. Fraud thinks revisiting ugly things from the past, as I was just saying, is wallowing, and that you couldn't possibly ever have any reason to think of less than happy memories if you dump it completely. She loved the word dump. That's not how reality works. Number 33. She thinks people suffering from depression are selfish and disgusting for not snapping out of it on her timetable. Again, she was not a real shrink, did not know jack about psychology. Number 34. Listening to tapes of one's therapy sessions isn't a magical cure for depression either. Like, wow. Number 35. Some people might go to a therapist because they just want a friend and sympathetic listener, but it's a huge violation of professional boundaries to actually develop a friendship. Number 36. Even if therapy is over, a reputable therapist is obliged to refuse an invitation to the past patient's house to attend a party. Like, wow, what a violation of boundaries. Number 37. She doesn't call CPS or the cops when Sammy says his dad beat him while in possession of cocaine. Wow. Number 38. It's so dangerous to advocate returning to an abusive ex and father, to say the very, very least. If Lance were serious about changing, he'd undergo deep therapy, not with her, and demonstrate his new leaf to his wronged family over a long time. Like, we're just supposed to believe it's like totally like normal and realistic and psychologically healthy for the prodigal, like son, not son, like the prodigal, like it comes from the parable, and that's what I'm thinking, the prodigal, like father and ex-husband to come around and say, oh, I'm so sorry, I behaved so terribly, I know I shouldn't be using drugs and hitting kids and like noping out on the family and just ignoring my responsibilities, but I'm really changed now. Okay, oh well, I guess that settles that. We'll need to get remarried ASAP because we need to be resealed. We must be together for all time and eternity when we go to Kolob and have our own little planet where we're god and goddess of our own little world, and we have the celestial marriage, and you'll have endless celestial sex with all your polygynous wives. Lance, like, we don't need to work on this over a long time. You said you're changed. Oh, I guess that settles that. I know you're changed. No need to prove it because this is totally not how reality works at all. I'm absolutely shocked. Like, I know I sound like a broken record, but I'm so freaking shocked, beyond shocked. This was allowed to stand by any of her editors. Like, seriously. So, number 39. Real therapists don't conduct sessions in public. I shouldn't even need to say why this is so beyond wrong. Anyone could overhear the patient's deeply private business in a park, like famous for having lots and lots of people. Of course, Dr. Fraud tapes this too. Number 40. You can't stamp out all negativity, depression, and pessimism, let alone while those feelings are just barely gestating. This isn't how the brain works. Number 41. Contrary to the popular image, real therapy doesn't consist of long, uninterrupted, info-dumpy monologues about one's entire life history and every trauma that ever happened. Like, again, it couldn't even like pretend to be like a believable real psychologist, like do serious reading, like watch, documentaries, like take some classes, maybe just, this is the popular misconception and the popular image of what therapy is, so I guess that's how it really must be. I'll write it just like that, and even though, I hate her. Number 42. Brains don't work in such a way we can control our heat of the moment reactions and how we behave in the middle of ongoing situations. We can't magically put our emotions on hold as we logically think through how to cope with a depression or traumatic event that just happened. Like, be real. Number 43. Dr. Fraud chastises Sammy for having nightmares all night since you're supposed to be dumping out, not building up. Ugh. Repressing trauma isn't healthy. Like, I say this over and over again in my videos. She's all about, smile and keep straight. Just pretend bad things never happened to you, and you're a terrible person for thinking about ugly memories for any reason and not, like, moving on from trauma within a week, if not 24 hours. Number 44. Dr. Fraud says thinking about negative memories is like a pig wallowing in mud. That's another favorite, like, catchphrase of hers. Number 45. We can't learn to handle trauma before it enters our lives. Like, wow, imagine that. Even if we learn coping strategies, that's no match against actually experiencing trauma as it happens. every time and event and situation is like different. Like maybe we'll have like get more like mental maturity or whatever experience dealing with something if like, whatever happens to us when you're like 50 versus when it happens at like 14 or 22 or whatever like that. But again, like you still can't predict exactly how you're going to like react to it and like think about it, how you're going to like heal from it and like work through it, like process the trauma and the grief. She was completely ignorant. So, number 46. Dr. Fraud chides Sammy for, in some irrational way, trying to rationalize that, cue the italics, negatives used on yourself, uncue the italics, don't count. Like, what does that even mean? That's a terrible sentence, but like part of the course, she had so many awful sentence structures in writing. Number 47. She says mental illness can be prevented by doing a 12-week checklist of mental wellness questions. Again, not a shrink. Number 48. Ethical professional therapists maintain professional boundaries. Again, going back to having boundaries by not giving out their home number and saying patients can call it any hour. Like, what is that all about? Like I used to live in an apartment building. There was a doctor who lived in one of the other apartments on the first floor, and I was asking some like friends on like Facebook, like I know doctors don't really like to take their like work lives home with them, but what if like, God forbid I had like a medical emergency sometime, would it be okay if I like rang the doctor's bell and like ask, oh, can I have a little bit of help? I mean, of course, like go to the hospital if that's that serious, but just like I guess maybe get it checked out or something, or see if it's serious enough. I might not need to like go to the hospital, whatever. And they said it's probably not the best. Like the doctor might not want to be bothered, even if the doctor might be home. This person had a Chinese name, so I'm not really sure if this person was male or female. But like anyway, you don't want to bother like your doctor or your nurse or your like psychologist when they're like at home. That's like a huge imposition on them. I shouldn't even like need to explain all of this. Number 49. People suffering from genuine depression and other serious mental health issues aren't the best judges of whether their thinking is distorted and what grade to give the statements in her little self-evaluation ditto. Number 50. If only it were that simple to, here's the quote, never allow yourself to forget that the way to, cue the italics, negate a negative thought, uncue the italics, or cue the italics again, action, uncue the italics, is to, oh, cue her pet fetish, the caps, neutralize it with a bright white light, oh, cue the italics, positive, uncue the italics, thought or action. Like, seriously, she was an absolutely terrible writer, just like past parody. So thank you guys very much for watching all the way through to the end. I have at least one more video planned coming up in this series, like the many reasons we know Beatrice Sparks was not a real psychologist, as she demonstrated over and over again in her craft books, to use another one of her pet ticks, like repeating a word thrice for emphasis. I'm totally shocked. Like no one questioned her earlier. Like, what are your credentials? Can you be a little bit more specific? Where exactly do you practice? Where did you get the ideas? Like, you can just think positive thoughts and that'll end depression. Even in the 90s, that like beyond Middle Ages thinking. It's so stupid. But anyway, thanks again for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.